You're welcome along to the polling station with Johnny Ward and William Kedjanyi, and Star Sports has a special top price on a certain Donald Trump that we're going to talk about, and that's going to be the bulk of the show this week. But we're going to start with matters closer to home. Here in Ireland, we've effectively gone back into lockdown, which I believe William Kedjanyi thinks may well happen in Britain. But what are the repercussions of what's happening in Manchester, William, particularly in relation to Andy Burnham, and how it might affect his sort of political prospects in the future?
Well, it's an interesting one because we got a couple of requests and inquiries lately, last night after Burnham's statement, about, number one, a potential tilt at Labour leadership, for which he is 12-1, and a potential leadership challenge to Keir Starmer. We haven't got that priced up yet, but it's interesting to note that the Labour Party under Keir Starmer now, I think, has refactionalised itself. There are less members, I'd have guessed, and certainly less members who you would have put to the left of Keir Starmer. Plenty have gone with Jeremy Corbyn, but there still is a core there, and it's interesting to note some have stayed. Also, you now have, I think, Starmer generally control the party and some important internal elections coming up, but also I think, which is natural, by the way, the more you become leader or the more you are leader, people who are picking holes in what he's doing. And it's interesting because we're at a sort of stagnation a bit in terms of the fact that Labour are neck and neck with the Tories in the polls, and we'll talk more about that later, but they aren't necessarily ahead or consistently ahead. Some might expect them to be. And I just think it's interesting because you can never say never with these things. And Burnham, who, to be fair, was already well known in political circles and is now sort of re-emerging to most people's eyes who don't really follow politics, was already quite high up when it comes to betting for the next Labour leader. He's 12th, that's 5th or 6th favourite, and it'll be interesting to see people take that price.
We did talk last week about the Scottish referendum poll that took place, and just in relation to that, it took my eye on the website today. Will there be a Scottish referendum before the end of 2025? Yes, 10-11, no, 4-5. And if there were a Scottish referendum for independence before the end of 25, how would Scotland vote? Yes to independence, 4-7. Now, a lot could change between now and then, but it's quite a strong favourite based on that poll.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here and the significant thing here is that's not just an outlier poll in itself. There have been quite a few polls which have really gravitated towards yes. Now, the situation is very different from 2014. You do have, I think, the UK going in a different direction to what it seems Scotland wants politically, and the Union in general was under lots of pressures. So I don't think it's that much of a surprise. It's more yes sentiment once again. I think the interesting thing is just how consistent the trend towards yes is. And the average lead is now looking fairly sizable. You know, they've got a bigger margin in hand if you trust polling averages. And of course, you know, we're a long way away from an India F2. But they have a bigger lead than Brexit did at the end. And that sort of clash between Scotland being a Remainer nation and Britain now leaving with what it looks almost certain to be a no-deal situation, it can't last forever. The Holyrood elections next year will be very interesting because that will be a referendum not only on independence in a way, but also Scotland's coronavirus response, which is hotly contested by both pro and anti-unionists.
Fascinating stuff. Now, if you visit the Star Sports website today, at this particular moment, you'll be struck by a banner on the right-hand side of the page. Top Trumps. We are top industry price on Trump winning. Now, I don't always agree with bookmakers, and usually when you disagree, you have a bet, but I could not agree more with this. In fact, I would be, I'd be giving Ben Keith a high five and say, take him on, take him on, take him on, because he cannot win. Or can he? And he's 13-8 now to win the election. Top price with Star Sports.
Yeah, we've really pushed this out. It's the best price in the industry, and we intend to lay it. I think there is support for Trump out there. I'd expect some people to take the price. It's interesting to know that on Twitter we've seen some people saying it's a good price. I'm still pretty steadfast in my belief, which changed mid-stretch, that Joe Biden is now too far in front to be caught. Hillary Clinton
stretch, nice American lingo there for an American presidency debate. I like it. Gate to wire.
Exactly. Regular handicappers at the polling station will know that I had predicted Trump to win a few months back in the.
We did have this chat.
We did indeed. However, I think things have changed materially for him. I believe Biden is riding the benefit of an anti-Trump sentiment, which has probably been fostering since his election. But also he's had a relatively safe, pretty calculated campaign, and amidst the backdrop of the pandemic, which is bringing lots of issues to the fore, and not all of them are the economy, I think he's too far out in front to be caught. For all that people will say 2016, Donald Trump was only a minor polling error behind Hillary Clinton. That was always the case. That actually happened. The polls got 2016 right broadly on the national averages. Biden leads by 10.2 in terms of an average of polls taken by 538. That's an extraordinary turnaround needed. But I definitely do think if you fancy Trump, and plenty of people aren't taking notice of the polls or the forecasts, etc., then you know where to bet. Bet would start where you'll be able to get your money on.
Just finally, 1 to 8, the winning party is the Democrat. 1 to 8, the popular vote winner is the Democratic candidate. Yeah. Is that one for your Acumes down the line?
I would have thought so. I really don't see any way that Biden doesn't win the popular vote. I mean, Clinton won the popular vote, and it wasn't really even close. The Trump strategy basically is going to be try and win the states that count. He's a bit closer to Biden there. And then probably, I'd imagine, contest this in the courts or try and overturn it. We don't really know how this election will end, but I hope we can be pretty sure that Biden's going to win the popular vote.
That was the polling station. Thank you, William.
Thank you very much.